Okay. Dalet. Misha shol osay chaver ben hashmoshes kam yemei Sefira bazal. Somebody asks you what's tonight's count. Yomer lo esmo haya kach v'kach. You should tell him, answer like a Jew. Don't give a straight answer. Yomer lo hayom kach v'kach. If you tell him today is whatever today is, the person that was asked will not be able to count again with the bracha. I will koydem bein hashmoshes. If he asked you this before bein hashmoshes, then it's okay. Why? Even she'ein zman sfira ein bakach kum. Since it's before the time of sfira, ein bakach kum. Okay. Now, I would like to read a Taz. There's a fascinating Taz over here. So everybody knows this halacha. This is like the halacha in Sefiras that everybody knows. Right? I'm going to read to you a Taz, and you're going to see that you don't understand this halacha at all. You may know it, but you don't really understand it. Okay. Moving on. The koshali. Why can't you just say the truth? Okay? I'm not counting now. What am I doing? I'm answering your question. This is like you're counting stam. Because of Beis Yosef Hashem Harashba, the Yoitze, the mitzvah ein tzichas kavana, if I count without having any intent, they'll be makayim the mitzvah Yoitze, because mitzvah ein tzichas kavana. This is not like that. Why? The Ashkecham b'simin tov pei daled, the kos of atur b'shem harash, the im ein yoidim levorach birchas hamazon. If a person doesn't know how to bench, who mikri oisa mili b'mili, I can say for you the benching word for word, and you say it. I tape recorded for you. I say Baruch Ata. I spoon feed you it. If I spoon feed you birchas hamazon, I'm not yotze, even though I just said the whole birchas hamazon. Why am I not yotze? Because I wasn't benching.
Yeah. Here it's much more obvious maybe that I'm reading for you the benching, if you will. Here you're asking me, what day is it today? And I said a day, so it's me and you. I'm answering your question and counting at the same time.
I don't know what you're talking about. I asked, you asked me what's, one more time. You asked me what today is. Now, what am I trying to do?
I'm trying to answer your question.
That's it.
But you are saying,
I'm not going against.
You are saying it's 14th day of Sefira.
That's true.
Here I'm just.
And I also benching.
But I'm benching for you clearly. I'm saying the words.
No, you're not benching for you. You're teaching. You're leading how to bench. You're in
right.
I'm
saying.
Not benching.
You could be.
And you could be benching.
No,
you didn't eat. You have nothing to do with
I ate. We're talking about where you ate and you have to bench. That's what we're talking about.
Benching. I'm clearly saying the words for you to listen to say them.
And
Also, I don't see any difference. In both cases, you could be a Trappist on yourself, or you could be not. Right? Okay? That's one raya. V'od raya misim tafresh nun ches la yitem b'yom rishon lulav l'koten koydem sheyotz the yomim acherim Shari, you could give your lulav to cotton before your yaitza on a different day. Va'asam kishanaisim the cotton who mikri umakri tila bracha mila b'mila. You pre whatever this is called. You pre bracha it for him. Va'afilu ha'chi la yatza ba'achakach elavadi is that daima le'mechaven shelo yilatzes. I'm holding my lulav. What do I have to do in order to be yaitza lulav? Lift it. I'm holding it and I'm saying the bracha for the kid. Why am I not yaitza?
It's not for kids, it's not holding it.
No, you're holding it.
Here, there's opposite kavanah. It's not kavanah. Here, it's kind of clear, possibly that.
Which way? Where is here and why is it opposite?
In the case of the lulav and the case of the benching, I'm helping a kid or I'm helping somebody else bench, so I'm clearly doing something to do something for someone else.
One second. Now, does that? You're clearly doing that also. Does that implicitly mean that I'm not doing it for myself? I'm asking you.
I would assume, yeah. I'm doing it.
So then the same thing is true when you ask me what day Sefira it is. I'm also doing it to answer you. I'm not doing it to count.
Why doesn't this concept of negative kavanah apply to Sefiras, like just to make it walk on the
It does. It does. But we're not discussing right now negative kavanah. We're discussing with no kavanah.
Answer the question, it's not okay. I can understand it that when I answer your question,
You could understand it the other way too?
yes.
Okay. All right.
The lulav, there is a difference because the bracha is not the mitzvah. Here, the counting is the mitzvah.
You're holding the lulav. You're holding the lulav.
So the question is, it has nothing to do with count. If you hold the lulav, are you yotze?
If I'm giving the kid the lulav, why wasn't the yaitz already?
Because you hold it upside down or whatever.
No! If I'm holding it straight when I'm giving it to the kid, was I yaitz?
Can be.
Could be
I
okay.
think it's negative.
I know.
He says you're not yaitz.
It's like the case of the Taisus when they're carrying it to shul. You have in mind not to be yotzi almost automatically.
We're careful to carry it, so it's not in the way that we do it for the
That's
mitzvah.
true, but okay. The point is understood. Yes.
Okay. V'od raya misim tafresh ches. Okay. Chanami meishav l'shoyel. All you're doing is answering the person who asked you a question, right? Al kein nirali dekan loy muzer elo lecharchila sheyarchik mizeh ma she'efshar. It's kedai to avoid such questions. Aval it miraloi she'amar lo tshuva shel yom zeh vaday lo yotza v'tzarech lachzer v'linos v'brocha. And I'm going to tell you. And not only that, I believe everybody over here who knows the halacha, it's not like the Taz, right? And all of us probably at some point were suckered into this stupidity. We zicher at least had what we call a negative das to a certain extent, right? If somebody asks you today what day Sefira is, you know you're not supposed to, you should be saying yesterday was, and if you tell them what today is, why isn't that called that you had automatically negative, you had kavanah not to be yaitza?
Because if you were aware enough to have negative
aware
kavanah,
that
you
you're
said
not supposed to be
yesterday.
saying the day. I'm clearly just answering your question. I don't want to be yaitza.
So you think that if somebody asked you and you fell for it, you could count with a bracha? No, I'm asking even not according to the Taz. I'm telling you that since all of you know the halacha that you're not supposed to answer, so it should be like an automatic kavanah lehepech when you answer.
It's only if you remember.
No, it's not true, because if you were aware of it, you'd have said yesterday.
Right.
So it means you weren't aware, but you weren't having any negative kavanah.
I don't think that that's true, but I think at the end of the day, nobody has a mind that they want to be yaitza.
That's different than negative kavanah. It's no
You can't have any
kavanah.
Sure, you want to do it after Mara,
You're just
sure,
neutral. You just answer the question.
No kavanah, you're yotze.
Okay, anyways, this is what he says. And he says that this whole halacha is a lechatchila de halacha, and it's not as bad as people thought. Okay? Now, after having seen the Taz, now let's learn the Mishnah Berurah. Okay? He even mentions the Taz, and we'll see how he mentions it. Misha Shoel. Yevon Birch Ben Hashmachas Yotza. V'kol shekelim sholos achatzes hakachavim shetzarach lizor milahoshev hayom kach v'kach. Now, what about Ben Hashmachas? So, I would like right now to see the Bir Halacha. Ayin Taz shehevi rayas dahavi zek mechaven shalei lotzes. Right, this Taz which we just learned. V'hine rayosov docha achroinim b'ayin bel Yerabah nar shalom mikol mokom ikar adin yesh la'ayin tuva. The das hagrobes if the koi gam aliba demandas of mitzvah and tzrichas kavana. V'cheinu gam das a pri chodesh the lidon the kaimon mitzvah tzrichas kavana tzorch lachzul levorach because you don't have kavana. V'lasule kedas redvaz l'chal ben deraisa derabonon v'oy nir l'nis daiti she'im ha'yezeh ben hashmoshes. If this question was asked to you ben hashmoshes, Rogil Tomid Levorach Davka B'Tzeisa Kechavim, he is like the people in the end of Sif Beis, who he always counts when it says, Mistabra da Oifen Zeh Havi Kimachavim Hedish Loi Lotzeis, Umuter Loi Lachzor Achakach V'Limnas V'Brocha. Now, what did he say?
If it's at the time we usually don't count, then there's no reason you should presume you want to go to.
So, what's the mechanism that makes it that it's kavana shaloi lotzes?
It's not the time we usually say. It's earlier.
Why is that different than with my fact that I'm answering somebody's question?
It's not the right time yet, and I'm not willing to...
Everybody holds that you could be Yaitz B'Nei
Could be.
That's two factors already. One is you're just answering the question, and two is you wouldn't usually count at that time.
No, he doesn't count the first one as a reason altogether. Right?
I'm not up to Syria. This is not in my world.
I don't care
That's
what
true,
you...
but in my kavana, in my head, it's not Sphira time yet. So when you ask me, I'm for sure not having a mind to be Yotzei, because I didn't hit that. I'm not up to Sphira yet.
And what if the difference I didn't have kavanah to be Yaitz because I want to count later and it's 10 o'clock at night? What's the difference? I normally count with a minion, and now
that's what I'm saying. So maybe that'll be different if we add in the reality of today, that most people go to shul and count the minion and the count afterwards. Then maybe that's a little different than the shul.
And there'll be a halachah in that situation.
After seeing the Taz and the Rav's explanation, I can understand better now. You would tell me that it's not Yotzei.
Okay, so I'm just pointing out the difficulty of this halacha. This halacha is very difficult. For me, it's a very difficult halacha.
Say, normally when I count, I say the weeks also, and I told them the day.
Okay, well, we're going to discuss, the place can discuss that. If you just said the day, you didn't count the weeks, could be that's enough. Because then the way that you count it is not a way that you normally count. All right. Okay.
The question people have a lack for Omer, when they always concerned because they it's lack for Omer, but that can be considered counting.
Can I ask you a question? When I ask you, is today Lag BaOmer, you say, yes, today is Lag BaOmer, what did you answer me?
That's good.
You said it's day to go to Maron, right?
It's like Omen.
You didn't say lack, you said lack for Omer, because it's 33 of the Omer.
Did you answer my question? When a person says today is Lag BaOmer, what is he saying? Is he counting the days? Or he is describing a holiday?
It's describing a holiday.
So l'chorah that has nothing to do with Sefiras Omer.
So why are people concerned? Why are people very careful not to mention?
No, I'm just pointing out that this is far from simple.
If he says Yom Lag BaOmer, is he Yotzei the mitzvah?
Could be. But if the
say bracha and say Hayom Lag BaOmer, yeah.
Could be. But there he's counting the day. He's doing a different act, right? In in Ivrit, Saturday is called Shabbos. In Yiddishkeit, Shabbos is Shabbos. When a Chiloni person says today is Shabbos, I don't think that he's Makayim Mitzvahs Kiddush. Right?
Doesn't have in mind anything to do with
right?
Saying today is Shabbat.
Right. He's not discussing a religious holiday. He's discussing a day of the week. Right? Lag BaOmer is discussing a event. I don't know what you want to call it exactly. All right. That's my opinion. Though the poskim do discuss the question, and I do believe that there's room for that idea, but I'm not so sure today. I think that it's worse, because I don't think that when a person says Lag BaOmer, it has any. I could see somebody asking me, and a Lag BaOmer happening, what's today's Sefiras, right? No, there's a total disconnect between the two. Do you agree with that, Dr. Cohen? I mean, I don't know if it happened, but there's no connection between the two things. Lachzulins v'bracha shekvar yatsa b'zeh yedei Sefiras. The man de omer mitzvahs ein sichas kavana. V'after kan we're under sichas kavana. V'zeh halada kiven latza es yedei mitzvah. The inyan bracha tzorch lahachmir v'lashach lahachdecha v'lo yivorach ha'asfir shiyem nacharkach. V'yesh od eitza shechavam b'feirish shalo latzes yedei Sefiras. I could say today is Lag BaOmer, but in my mind I'm saying I'm not being Yaitza. I could do that too. Before he get to the weeks. Now, even though there's a question by Shavuos, if you have to say the Sefiras of Shavuos is only at the end of the week or in the middle of the week. But the Mishnah Berurah over here names on like the Mekilim.
You say the number without the Omer.
Yeah, that also works.
That works too.
Your Yaitza. That works. So if it works, I think that's enough, and you're not allowed to come with a bracha. Okay, now this is the Ramah. This Ramah is a very fascinating halacha, and it has nothing to do with counting of Sefiras HaOmer, what we call counting. Says the Ramah, it's like a nusif. Ukishigia azman of Sefiras HaOmer, asurim lechol ad sheyispor. You're not allowed to count until you're not allowed to eat until you count. Vafilu hischalecha poisik b'sefer. Mihu mihischalecha kodim shegia azman eno tzorch lahafsik el gomer achilasoi. Okay, now says the Mishnah Berurah. B'tzar lo b'tzeisak echavim. Vafilu kvar espal kriyas shema b'tfila. Im lo yikem b'lavochi also b'shon kriyas shema b'tfila. V'eskima achronim dofima lepaskinon le'il. Lahachmir mechatzi shal koydem zman, who adin hacha chatzi shal before Sefiras you should not eat.
Is it not a problem for people that take from Shabbos early now?
I don't think so. People who take in Shabbos early, at least the ones who do so in this beforehand.
Oh.
What I do?
No,
Weird.
It's weird. Okay. I don't feel weird.
I was
No, it's the other camera.
It was good. Okay. Because I like halachas which say not what people would have thought that it was going to say. Imeinu yadea cheshvan. Upasach hadaita de l'sayin kemo sheyishma mechaveroi. I'm going to fake it, and I'm going to go along with the flow, and I will hear whatever my friend says. I'll just repeat that. V'saim kemo yotza. Yotza. Now, I just want to ask a question. If I am going to make a bracha on an apple, I should know what I'm making a bracha on, right? Now, when I'm counting Sefira, when I make the bracha, should I know what day I'm counting on?
As you say, you should know one single bracha each day.
Okay, so then this halacha is shver, right? Yeah.
But it wouldn't make it up, meaning it wouldn't make
You're
it.
yaitza.
Oh,
I want to tell you, so you're yaitza if you didn't make a bracha altogether.
okay.
Right. So if you're by someone's house and they said, "I'm bringing you an apple," you can make a bracha already. Okay.
So, 1 second, I'm going to ask you a question. So it says, I'm bringing you an apple. Can you make a bracha already?
That's what I'm asking. Now.
No, you cannot. You're supposed to be holding it in your right hand when you make the bracha. If I'm bringing you a talis, could you make a bracha on it?
No.
When do you make a bracha on a talis? There's two different minhagim in Klal Yisrael. According to some, it's when you're holding it before you drape it on you, and others when you drape it on you before you wait the dalet amos. It's two different minhagim.
In
And
both cases, they're in your hand.
but both cases,
They're just arguing
when is over las yosan is, but beforehand, when you're opening up your tik tefillin with your talis, you are not supposed to be making a bracha, even though you could do it super quick. You're supposed to be holding it in your hand, ready to go before you do it. Okay.
So we're just pointing out that this is strange. That this guy did this. What's the-
Well, we're going to, in Sif Vav, we're going to discuss this to a greater degree, but I'm mentioning it here. Pasech ha-bracha. V'siyim kemo yotzer. Tzari leimer af ha-bracha. You yotzer the bracha and the ksira. Why? Da'adaita d'hachi pasech ha-bracha. V'siyim, and he had everything in mind. V'ika siyim u'psicha. You have a bracha with a siyim and a psicha. Mikol makom lechatchila eino levarach elam ken yodea mitchila eze yom hayom. Why? This is the horrible reason. The aser lahafsik afilu b'shtika ben habracha lemitzvah yesim echdei dibur. And if I'm going to hear you say hayom yom echad ba'omer, that has to be more than kedei shila shalom. It's more words.
So I can start with your hayom.
And then you're still the same.
What about when you get to weeks? Somebody else?
No. Shalom alecha, Rabbi, right? 3 words.
Yeah, but I'm saying the word.
Hayom yom echad ba'omer and Shalom alecha Rabbi are basically the same amount of words, right?
Right, but if I start with all the introductory words before I get there, so the day.
Even if you said the word hayom,
Yeah.
you still have 3 words.
He's still part. He's just doing part of the process.
Yeah.
It's not like
Started
he's
in the
sitting there
mitzvah,
doing
no?
nothing.
What am I supposed to say? Hayom yom echad ba'omer.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So after the bracha, I start saying hayom yom, and then I'm waiting for the.
No,
for
there's
the other
no-
guy.
So
If I
you're waiting
start-
more than they
No,
did.
but there's not between the bracha. You already started counting.
Yeah.
Ah,
There's
all
no
right.
hesek is in the middle of the counting, not the bracha.
All right, you're not supposed to be mafsik there either.
You're supposed
Okay.
to know what you're doing.
That's a different question. You're supposed to know what you're doing. And that he doesn't say.
These people in Marach anyway. They're saying Hayom Yom with Kavanah. They do it.
Okay. Okay. Next halacha. In Pasach v'Amar Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam Adaita Delei Mahayom Arba Shu Sover Shem Arba. That's what your thought was. V'Nizkar V'Siyim Chamisha. And by the time you got to the end, you made your math and you figured out that today is not 4, you did 4 yesterday. V'Hem Chamisha, and you said the right thing. O Ibcha Shem Arba U'Pasach Adaita Delei Ma'arba V'Tov V'Siyim Chamisha. Eino Chayzer Mevorach. Okay? In both cases, you don't count again. And this is a very difficult question. Why don't you count again in the second case? The first case, at least you...
Counted already.
Yeah. Okay.
There's the dinner birchas hanan, and if you thought it was wine and it was...
So it depends what it is, okay? If I thought today was day 4 and I counted day 6, did I do anything?
No.
You did nothing. Okay? And that's what we're going to see about. V'achronim tamohu al din zeh. And the achronim are very bothered. Bishlev Aresha shesim chamisha vu chamisha nicha. Why? The yotza darei sipur kedin. Even though your beginning of your bracha you had in mind the wrong thing, but the end of the bracha you had in mind the right thing, and you counted right, so you're okay. V'aval gav de b'shas b'chasa so shu arba lav klumhu sharei af beloy birach klal yotza. So who cares? I will say for my mahani sheb'shas bracha yada eze yomhu halo akapanim befiv sipur yom she'enoi. So you didn't count. V'eskimu de bezet tzarich lispa mechodesh ulevarech de b'chasa rishayna hoysel v'atola. And they're cholik on that which it says in Shulchan Aruch, and they say you have to do it again. Im lo sheniskata kedei dibur b'lisvirasoi shos chayzer sefer kedin v'abrocha oilaloi. Okay.
Is this because he's going with the Rambam? What? The Shulchan Aruch is going with the Rambam that it's totally in when we do the bracha?
No.
What you thought?
No. V'da'oid. Dav the Shulchan Aruch mar b'shas habracha yodea yom asfira uberach adas lispor kohoigen. Like you're saying that he had in mind al shachach tov b'sim shloi kohoigen. Aber kam achrein eskim afem beis habracha yodaita gam ken al yom acher v'chein siper betos mikol mokom im toch kedei dibor niskar shato v'yisayim tekev kohoigen yotza. You can correct kedei dibor even though you had the wrong thing in mind during the whole bracha. Void kasum im to'u v'omar hayom yom arba ba'omer v'sok kedei dibor niskar sheyom chamisha dayo sheisayim chamisha ba'omer v'yotza b'zeh af shaloi omer hayom yom chamisha, because you can borrow that from the first thing, the kivan shehu adayin toch kedei dibor. Okay, so now we're going to see the Sharitzian, he does some nice things over here. Okay. In Mem Aleph. B'chei masha me'agraz loikataz shekosav dim kol ha'brocha birach al das lisper b'tois v'achach nitztorch lachzor v'orach v'chodesh, because your whole bracha went down the tubes. V'hem yal zerai miturmes v'hem dochud v'arav v'ayim b'maimar marachai v'choik Yosef da brocha eino koi al hayoim el al hoidol Hashem al etzem ha-mitzvah. We're thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they have a mitzvah to count. V'kivon shetech kedei dibor siyem kohoigen shaper dummy. You're never making a bracha on the day that you're counting. You're making a bracha on that we have the opportunity to be mekayim the mitzvah, and it does.
Need to have imam which day you're counting.
Right, and that's how it works. Even though even in the case we had the wrong day in mind, but you still. Yeah, just go correct it, because your bracha, your bracha is on that I have the opportunity to do Sefira, and I counted the right day, so everything is great, right? I don't know if that's exactly true, and this is found in other places also, that the Birchas HaMitzvah is that. What? Right. So this is the answer to the question that I asked in Sif Hay. I said, how could you fake the bracha? Just go along with that guy, and then later on, just follow him. How could it be that when you're saying the bracha, you don't have to know the day? So according to this, that question, you don't have to know the day b'chal. It's not important. Okay. Okay, now comes the core halacha of Sefira. Shakach v'loi birach kol halayla. Person didn't count the whole night. Yisper bal yom below bracha. You count in the day with a bracha. Without a bracha, I'm sorry, yes. Kedas harbe paisim, debidyevet Sefiras hayoim oile l'Sefira. Now, below bracha, the yesh lachosh ladas ha-paisim, the ein zman Sefira ela balayla. Ukeshemi varach bayom hu levatala. Okay, now I just would like to share with you a fascinating halacha. What does it mean that you have to count at night? I would like to share with you a lady who has to count Zayin Nikiyim. She has to count in the day. And Sefiras Laila loves Sefira. Doesn't help for her to count at night. So when we say that you have to count at night and not in the day, it's not because that's the beginning time. It's because that's the time to count. In other words, the day, everybody's masking that the day of Sefiras HaOmer includes the day. But it doesn't mean that all of the day is eligible to count. You understand what I'm saying? The two halachas are not interdependent. And the halacha is that the Sefira has to be, according to this opinion, the Sefira has to be done at night. Not because of Tmimus, because that's when you're supposed to count.
Where is the reason that's
That's learned from a drasha, according to these poskim. Okay? Okay, so this is important, Nakuda. All right. So here's the end. The end that it says, but mihu mikana lahava sefer kol halayla b'bracha. Why can you count the rest of the days b'bracha? Because there's a sveika that allows you to do this. I want to see the Sharet Tzion Memhei. Kedivya Trubos Hadesh Shemu Beis Yosef. Mishum Davi Sveika Liyuva. Sofik to be Yevet Sefira Bizmana Zmana Kol Meisleis. You can count the whole 24 hours. Vim Tim Slagadas HaPoiskim Dein Sefira Bayom Afa Pikein Havi Poiskim Maskimim Dein Hayom Makvim Zeh. Each day is its own mitzvah. Well, the Inyan Zeh Lo Be'in and Tmimus. For each day you can still count. Cheliskim Ma'amorcha Narshal V'Shar Chorim Gelok L'Pirus Shesod L'Fi Madach Hashim L'Das HaPoiskim Shelo Yivorach Ba'Yom Al Kocha Mishum De Be'im and Tmimus. The Yom and the Tmimus are related. V'Kein Sorazu D'Dil Yamecha L'Gamrei Gam Ken Ein Rishal L'Vorach Mishum De Be'in and Tmimus. V'Zeh Eina B'Hechrach K'mo Shemuch B'Tais V'Nochas V'Shibuli Haleket. So this is exactly this idea that I said, that the two halachas, the tmimus and counting the days, are two totally different ideas, and that's how it works. Okay. Im shachach levarach be'echad. I would just like to mention, today I saw a fascinating shtickle Torah, and I would like to at least floor the question. We sort of mentioned the question, I think 2 weeks ago. I forgot to count, and now it's Ben Hashmoshes of the next day. Can I count Ben Hashmoshes of the next day? We discussed counting after Dav Ma'ariv. I don't think we discussed counting Ben Hashmoshes. Now there are those, and this is those that say that Ben Hashmoshes is a sveika. If you're the Ben Hashmoshes going into your chiyuv, so the sveika would say that you can count. But post, it would say that it's a drabanon, and it's a drabanon lakula, and you're finished with the day. The psak of the suffix would go the other way, and you shouldn't be able to count Ben Hashmoshes. In other words, what I'm coming to say is a person can't count every other day 2 days, right?
He wants to count Ben Hashmoshes for yesterday and for tomorrow.
Right. No, I'll count them one after the other, right? And I have to count only every other day, right? Right? I can't do that. Now, even in one Ben Hashmoshes to count twice, I don't know if you can do that. because that's like we call it tarta de sasri. Right now, at this point, to use it for both of them. But I think most places, I think, hold that you can, bein hashmoshes, you can count the day that you passed also. All right?
If you want to do it for Krishma, you can do it twice in the morning.
Because yeah, that's for a different reason. That's because it's the Zman for both. It's really the Zman of the Boker, but since people still sleep, it's also Zman for B'shach.